Tulika ma'am, your screen have not come yet.
Yeah, I will just share it right now.
Fine, no problem. Yeah, and now we are live on our YouTube channel.
Is it visible right now?
Yes, very much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Right, and we are live to go. Now over to the program organizers. Gio Kapan sir, now you may begin with the program.
Okay, sir. Now we have 54 plus members are here, and some people are still waiting in the waiting room. I hope the co-host will admit them. Now we are going to start the session officially. I think it's audible to everybody. In case of any queries, you can put it in the comment box. Right now, I invite third-year psychology student from BSc Psychology, Alan Saji, to deliver the welcome speech.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Is it audible? Hello?
Yes, Alan, definitely it's audible. You can speak.
I'm not enabling my video. There's a network issue. I'm sorry for that. Okay, good morning all. Esteemed guest of this occasion, Dr. Tulika Ghosh, Assistant Professor, Department of Clinical Psychology, SGT University, Haryana. Directors of LISSAH Group of Institutions, Founder Director, Reverend Father Jos Melotukochil, CST, Vice Principal, Reverend Father Niju Talachira, CST, Manager of LISSAH, Reverend Father Bobby Pulolikal, CST, Principal Dr. Benny Joseph, faculty members, and dear students. Today, October 10, observed as the World Mental Health Day. As you know, mental health is gaining a lot of prominence in the recent years as the soaring number of cases and issues. On behalf of the management, I invite all of you guys to this magnanimous program. I wish you a wonderful time. Thank you.
Now over to you, Ashika. You can introduce our resource person.
Good morning all. We are going to discuss a very relevant topic during the current pandemic, that is impact of lockdown on mental health, a psychological perspective. We are very delighted to invite our eminent resource person, Dr. Tulika Ghosh, Assistant Professor, Department of Clinical Psychology, SGT University, Haryana. She has done her education in Bachelor of Arts and Master of Arts in Psychology from Ranchi University, her MPhil in Medical and Social Psychology, and her PhD in Clinical Psychology from Ranchi Institute of Neuropsychiatry and Allied Sciences, Jharkhand. So once again, let's warmly welcome Dr. Tulika Ghosh to this webinar.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So can I start the webinar right now?
Definitely, ma'am, you can start right now.
Okay. So first of all, as you all know, today is World Mental Health Day. So I would like to wish each and everyone present over here in the webinar a very happy Mental Health Day, and we should make all our efforts to improve the mental health of people around us. We as clinicians or as clinical psychologists should be trying to improve and work towards the better mental health of each and every individual who is present around us. Okay, so with this I would like to start my webinar, and the topic of my webinar is impact of lockdown on mental health, a psychological perspective. Okay, so first of all I would like to start with uh, what is coronavirus. So you all must be aware, but then also a brief introduction. It is a large group of viruses which is common among animals and it is zoonotic in nature, means they can be transmitted from animals to human beings. Okay. So this virus was first identified in southern China in December 2019, and later on it came to India also. And the first case was reported in 30th January 2020. So as this illness, or as this virus is very much infectious, it can spread from one person to another. That's why a nationwide lockdown was imposed on 24th of March 2020, which is still continuing. So this confinement, because of this lockdown, people started working from their home. The work from home culture started. People stopped going outside. uh, and this confinement, or the current lockdown, which started due to COVID-19, it also affected people, or it started affecting people in different ways depending on the circumstances, their experiences and needs. So because of this confinement, face to face contact with friends, family, or colleagues became much difficult, and all other routines which we were able to maintain normally, like going outside, shopping, all these things became quite difficult. So and this confinement started affecting each and every domain of one's life, but it started having a severe impact upon one's mental health. And since we are mental health professionals, therefore we'll be talking about how the lockdown affected one's mental health in this current pandemic situation. So when this situation of COVID-19 started, then mental health experts already warned key this situation of COVID-19, this pandemic situation, and the national lockdown can have a negative impact on people's mental health and well-being. So now I'll be talking about how the lockdown affected people. Okay. So here are a range of problems which started occurring in individuals when they started or when they faced the situation of lockdown. So the most common problem which was noticed in this situation of lockdown was depression. You all must be aware of what depression is. People start experiencing mood changes, they start feeling sad without any reason. So this was the most common problem which was noticed when this current situation of lockdown started. Am I going too fast?
No, ma'am, it's fine.
Fine. Okay. Okay. So some other problems were also noticed, like anxiety increased among people. People started feeling suicidal. Drug and alcohol abuse also started. The cases of domestic violence increased. Child abuse, insomnia, stress, anger, irritability, and emotional exhaustion. So these were the common psychological problems which were noticed when the current situation of lockdown started. So now I'll be talking about depression. Mental health experts that it was very common, or it was much more prevalent among people who were staying in the situation of current pandemic. So in the situation of lockdown, people started to get affected by strange type of diseases. Some people were not able to rest properly because people were very much fearful ki, whether I'll get affected by COVID-19, or whether my family members can get affected due to COVID-19. If I get afflicted by COVID-19, then what to do in that situation? How to deal with that situation? And because in the current pandemic situation, the facilities also reduced. People started maintaining many people started taking many precautionary measures. The hospitals also started functioning as per the precautionary norms. So people started being tensed about multiple reasons, like if I get affected by COVID-19, that what will happen, whether I'll be able to get proper treatment or not, how my family members will get affected by my sufferings. So many kind of thoughts started coming to people's mind. Some were also not able to sleep due to the fear of infection. And in this situation of COVID-19, many people lost their jobs. And uh, in today's society, jobs are the main source of financial stability. So when people started losing their jobs, or many people started cutting down on the salaries of their employees, so these kind of situations led to depression in the individuals. And till now we are unaware ki when this current pandemic situation will come down, when people will be able to move around freely, when we'll return to the normal situation which was present before COVID-19 came. So uncertainty about the future is also present among people, which led to negative thoughts. So these kind of changes in people's routine led to the rise in depression or depressive thoughts among people. And when people started suffering from depression, so that adversely affected their thought process. They were people started uh, feeling unable to uh, think in a positive manner. Every time they were worried ki what will happen in the near future, whether I'll be able to come out of this current pandemic situation normally or not. And everyone is worried ki if I get affected by COVID-19, which are present since the beginning of COVID-19. And along with these kind of changes in their behavioral patterns, along with the changes in their day-to-day routine, some people also had to face the death of their loved ones, which also led to a rise in depression. So these kind of factors led to an increase in cases of depression. And some people who were already having some mental health conditions like depression were severely affected by the lockdown, especially if they were faced with isolation, because the main aim of lockdown is to keep people isolated so that the virus doesn't spread further. So because of this lockdown, the health facilities also got affected. So people who were already having some mental health conditions, they were their treatment process also got affected because of this. Because since I am a practicing clinician, that's why I know ki when we are giving therapy, then it proves to be more effective when it is given in a face to face situation. But because of this lockdown, we started giving therapies, we started assessing the individual psychologically through the uh, mm, through some other alternative means, like telephonic services were started, or through like Zoom, or some other some other means were also used, like WebEx or something. So we started assessing individuals, or we started providing therapies through alternative means, which uh, decreased the efficacy of the therapeutic services which are provided by us. So people who were already having some mental health conditions, their treatment also got affected because of this lockdown. So uh, this in turn increased the already prevailing problems in the individuals. And some other conditions which were also present, like people started working from home. And some people who lost their jobs as well. You all must be aware ki people who were working as laborers, they lost their jobs, and instantly they were unable to understand ki what to do in this situation, where to go, because moving from one place to another also became very difficult. So those people whose job security seemed to be threatened, they also started suffering from depression. And since this is an uncertain since this situation is full of uncertainty, ki how long the coronavirus will last, when it will end, when we'll be able to return to the completely normal situation, these things are not at all known to all of us. That's why depression is on a rise in this present situation. Okay, so according to the global health body, it is very natural for us to or people to experience stress, anxiety, loneliness, and some other conditions during the situation of lockdown. So now, after depression, the most prevalent problem or the most common problem came to be known as anxiety. So, since we started staying at home, all our routine activities we had to do them from home, and except excluding some places like excluding the metropolitan cities, everywhere many services are not available. So, maintaining the day-to-day life, uh, trying to avail the resources or trying to maintain one's normal routine became very difficult under the lockdown situation. So this in turn created anxiety also among individuals. So the main psychological impact to date is elevated rates of stress or anxiety, because there are many kinds of responsibilities which are taken over by people. Like we have to maintain our professional life also, we need to maintain our personal life also, and considering the lockdown situation, many kind of restrictions were imposed on us, like you cannot go out for shopping as independently as you used to go earlier. So but we need to have our food, we need to fulfill our basic needs, right? So it became very much difficult for people who belong to the lower socioeconomic status or lower middle socioeconomic status, and people who were staying in such places where each and every facility is not available for them. Maintaining their day-to-day routine, fulfilling their daily needs became quite difficult. So this elevated the rates of stress and anxiety among them. And especially people who were staying in quarantine, because this is a infectious disease. Therefore people who came from or people who shifted from one place to another, the after that people had to be in quarantine for a definite period of time. It was 14 days. So when people are staying in quarantine, that time they cannot interact with anyone freely, they cannot move around freely. So this also in turn affected many people's usual activities, routines, or livelihoods. So anxiety also came to be very much prevalent among individuals. Then the next problem, which was, or the next kind of psychological change which was noticed, was domestic violence. Domestic violence means when people are staying together, partners are staying together, at the time they start showing some kind of violence towards the other individual. Generally it is the females who get affected. So World Health Organization said that cases of domestic violence across the globe have seen a spike amid the lockdowns. So, some countries also reported an increase in domestic violence since the COVID-19 outbreak began. So, there are many possible reasons behind the increase in domestic violence, because uh, generally in our setting it is seen that, or generally in our society it is seen that females are the ones who stay at home, take care of kids, do the cooking, fulfill all the household responsibilities, and males are the ones who go outside for work. They are the breadwinners of the family. But when COVID-19 began, then lockdown was imposed, after which uh, mm, the work from home culture started. People started staying at home, and when we start staying together for a very long time, and generally it is seen that males want to be outside their home for a longer period of time, they want to interact with other people, they are more inclined towards the external activities. So when they were asked to stay at home, then every day mm, they were stuck in a routine life. They cannot go outside, they cannot carry out their normal day-to-day activities. So this affected their psychological functioning, and they in turn became very much stressed out. They became very uh, mm, anger became much more common among the males, and as a result of which partner violence or domestic violence increased in our country as well as in other countries also. So and when we were in a normal situation, or when we were pre-lockdown period, at that time, people, if anyone faced any kind of domestic violence, then they were very much free to seek help because of uh, the current situation which was present at that time. But now, since we are under a confinement situation, lockdown has been imposed and we have to maintain social distancing, therefore there were limited opportunities to seek help, and people had no other option other than suffering the domestic violence or bearing the consequences of domestic violence. So domestic violence is also one thing which increased after lockdown was imposed. Experts have also warned that the way our mental well-being or the way our mental functioning is getting affected because of lockdown, that is unlikely to disappear the moment we are allowed outside of the house again. Suppose after 1 or 2 months or 6 months, we again return to the normal phase of life, then also this impact of lockdown will not go away that easily, and the worsening of mental illness could persist for years even after the pandemic situation has come down. So these are the major changes which can take place in people who are currently in a lockdown situation. And other than that, some other problems which I discussed earlier, uh, suicides can also take place because many people are many people lost their jobs, they were terminated. Many people's the business people who were in business, their business also got affected because of the lockdown situation. So they may start feeling very much insecure about their future. They may be unable to feed their family, they may be unable to fulfill their responsibilities. So these kind of things, these kind of thoughts which are present in the individual's mind, they can lead a person to commit suicide. So suicide is also one important psychological impact of the current lockdown situation. Then some other psychological consequences of lockdown can be drug and alcohol abuse, because people right now they are unable to interact with people freely, they are unable to move around freely, and that's why they need some sort of recreation, they need some sort of changes in their day to day routine. So for seeking this kind of change, for seeking this kind of novelty, they can get into drug and alcohol abuse, and depression, anxiety, or boredom, which is increasing since the lockdown situation started. So these kind of things can make a person start abusing drugs or start abusing alcohol. So as we all know, when a person starts abusing some kind of a drug or some kind of alcohol, then it can also create certain kind of psychological problems in the individual. Excessive use of any substance can make a person vulnerable to experience hallucinations. Hallucinations are of many kinds, like the person can either experience visual hallucinations, he may be seeing things which are actually not present in his environment, or he may be able to hear sounds which are actually not there in his environment, which we also known as auditory hallucinations. Similarly, hallucinations related to touch or smell. These kind of hallucinations can also occur in individuals who start abusing some kind of drugs. Then we already talked about domestic violence. Child abuse can also occur in the current situation of lockdown, because parents are all they are already staying at home. They need to fulfill many responsibilities. They need to fulfill the needs of the child, they need to fulfill their own needs. So, and along with that they have this uh, worry also, ki will I be able to save my job? What will happen after the lockdown situation ends, or if they have already lost their job, then whether I'll be able to secure a job once again, whether I'll be able to fulfill the needs of my children, my family properly or not. So these kind of things are already creating stress in the individual's mind. And after that, mm if there is some family problem present, or if the children are having some kind of problems, then the people can also notice an increase in the child abuse cases. Similarly, insomnia, which is not being able to sleep properly. So these kind of mm, tension provoking situations, or these kind of tension provoking thoughts can also create insomnia in the person's mind. Stress, anger, irritability, and emotional exhaustion can also result from the current lockdown situation. So these are the major psychological effects which we can find because of this current pandemic situation. Is it clear to all? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear. It's
Okay.
audible.
Okay. So now you all must be thinking, if so many problems occur, uh, some other things which I would like to talk about, like people can also start having a sense of disorientation. People may experience some kind of loss, like job loss, or people may lose some near and dear ones because of the current COVID-19. Some may also have difficulty in handling the stress which they are already experiencing. uh, Anxiety over their jobs can also begin, as they worry about losing the jobs, or wonder if their business will pick up again. People also need to Currently people are also dealing with boredom and anxiety, which in turn is making them short tempered. And as I already said, ki it has been documented ki there is an increase in violence when people go to work. They interact with many people. They uh, they work in that particular work setting. So it reduces their exposure to the family members. But when they are staying at home, then they constantly need to face each other. They constantly need to interact with each other. Then they start getting at each other, or they start getting angry at each other for minor reasons. So now these are the major psychological changes which can be noticed, or which can be experienced by an individual in this current lockdown situation. So now when we have realized ki lockdown can affect the mental health of an individual in multiple ways. So now we should also be aware ki how to stay mentally healthy, or how we can deal with the psychological impact of lockdown. So in order to deal with this situation, first we need to accept ki this situation is there. We already are going through a pandemic situation. This lockdown has already been imposed. So we need to accept this fact ki lockdown is there, and we need to restrict our movement, we need to restrict our interaction with other people, so that we can prevent the spread of the disease. So first is acceptance. That is most important thing. If we accept if we accept that this is the situation which is existing right now, this is the uh, these are the consequences which can happen because of the current situation. If we show acceptance towards that, then our stress levels, our depression levels can um come down. So first is acceptance. Then second, the second point which we can use to stay mentally healthy is that we should restrict our time listening to negative news on COVID-19, because it is the first time that such kind of a disease has occurred, such kind of a uh, mm, infectious disease has occurred. And every time, whether we are listening to the news on radio or TV or any other source, we every time keep listening that the number of patients has increased to this much, or these many deaths have occurred right now. So if we keep listening to such news over and over again, then that can increase our anxiety. So we should try to restrict our time listening to these kind of news. Other than that, we should also try to maintain a healthy lifestyle, because once we got restricted, or once the situation of confinement started, then we started staying at home. We just kept doing those activities which were necessary, like work, cooking food, eating, all those things. But we started ignoring our lifestyle. We forgot how to exercise or how to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So maintaining a healthy lifestyle is very important. We should always try to exercise at home. We should go for some kind of mm, recreational activities. So we should always try to maintain a healthy lifestyle, even though we are in confinement right now. And along with that, we should realize that there is life after COVID-19. We should try to be positive, because this current situation of COVID, or this current pandemic situation, will end. Maybe it will end after 1 year or 2 years or whatever, but it will come to an end sometime. So we should always try to be optimistic. We should always try to be positive. Ki there is life after COVID-19, and if I'm able to cross this period, or if I'm able to uh, pass this period successfully, then other things will also improve gradually. And then next thing which we can do to in order to deal with this situation is to catch up on other things. Many times it happens ki, because of our current job life, or the busy schedule which we are having, because of that we are unable to focus on other things which were at some point of time, which were very much important for all of us. Like some people like to cook, some people like to sing, but when they started working, or when they started pursuing the studies, then we had to ignore those activities which were interesting to, or which were good for us. So right now in this pandemic situation, we have got sufficient time, and we can start focusing on those things which, due to academic pressures or job pressures, we had to ignore. So instead of feeling tensed, or instead of blaming this current pandemic situation, we should try to always focus on our hobbies which we were unable to pay attention to. Then we should always try to avoid the anxiety, or we should not let anxiety rob ourselves of the time we have. Many times it happens ki people always continuously think about ki oh, what will happen, whether I'll be able to pass through this current pandemic situation normally or not, uh, or what will happen in the near future, whether I'll be able to get my job back or not. So these kind of anxious thoughts start robbing ourselves of the time which we have. So instead of keeping ourselves preoccupied with such anxious thoughts, we should try to utilize the time which we are having currently, we should try to increase our productivity, or we should try to increase our we should try to keep ourselves engaged in such kind of work or activities which give us pleasure, instead of constantly thinking about the negative thoughts or the anxious thoughts which are already present in our mind. Then we should try to find new hobby or interests. Many times we keep thinking ki, oh, I'm not having this much time, I'm always busy in my job life, or I have to pay maximum amount of time to my studies, so I'm unable to do anything else. So this is the time which we have got, in which we can pursue new hobbies, or we can create new interests and pursue them. So we won't be our hobbies. Then along with that, we should not keep ourselves isolated physically. Though it is a pandemic situation, there is an infectious disease which is going on spreading continuously, but even then we should try to interact with other people. We should try to maintain our social circle. We should try to meet our friends once in a while, keeping the precautionary measures also. Okay, but we should always try to interact with other people, maintain the social circle, because isolation also tends to affect our mental functioning, or tends to affect our mental status. Then next thing which we should do is stay in touch with our loved ones. Nowadays, earlier the concept of joint family was there, right? But now, as people started moving to some other places in order to pursue their studies, or in order to pursue their professional interests, so staying in touch with loved ones has become very much difficult. So now, as we have got the time, so we should try to uh, uh, stay in touch with our loved ones, or we should always uh, try to talk to them with whom we never interacted, or with whom we were able to we were not able to interact much because of our busy schedule. So now, as we have got time, we should try to revoke revoke or again try to get in touch with those people whom we haven't interacted for a long time. Then there are some other demands also, as I talked about earlier, ki this current situation of pandemic is there, but we always need to, as parents or as some other important members of the family, we need to fulfill the demands which are already there in our family. So in this current pandemic situation, because of the restrictions which have been imposed, because of the confinement situation, fulfilling all the demands can be stressful. So we also need to realize ki I won't be able to meet the needs of everybody, or it won't be possible for me to fulfill the needs of each and every person. Therefore, we need to identify ki which of the needs are important for our uh, existence. So we should try to identify those needs which are important, and we should try to fulfill those needs itself. Because now, in this situation, if we try to fulfill the demands of each and every person, or we try to fulfill all demands at this time, then it can become quite stressful for us. So we should always learn, or we should always try to prioritize our needs. Okay. And then one more thing is, we should always be realistic. At this situation, some people have already lost their jobs, or some people, even if they are working, their salaries have been cut down, and we don't know ki when this current situation will come to an end, when everything will return to normalcy. So we should be realistic. We should always focus on saving our money. We should always try to mm, uh, invest in those things only which are very necessary. Other than that, uh, mm, unnecessary expenditure is, or unnecessary spending money on such needs which are not that important right now, should be avoided. Thus, we should not go beyond our means. It can lead to financial stress. And if we start facing financial stress in such a situation, then some other the it can also affect us psychologically. If we have financial problems right now, so depression can increase, or stress can increase, irritability may go on increasing. So thus we should always keep our financial resources under control. And don't feel overwhelmed, because some people have a tendency to get overwhelmed or to get anxious on minor provocations, or on minor issues. So this is the current situation which is already present, and we have to deal with this situation. So if we start feeling overwhelmed, then it may increase the psychological issues in us, as well as in our family members, or in close relatives, or other people who are important for us. So we should try to be calm all the time. We should, even if we are feeling anxious or overwhelmed by the situation, we should try to control it by diverting our mind to some positive activities, by listening to music, or by reading some motivational books or spiritual books. We should always try to control our anxiety level, or if we are getting some kind of negative thoughts, we should always try to remove our focus from those kind of negative thoughts. And right now we are having sufficient amount of time. We are not able to go outside, so that has increased boredom in us as well. So in order to remove that boredom, or in order to decrease that boredom, we try, some people can try to create some kind of novelty in their day to day life, because of which they can turn to drugs or alcohol or comfort eating. So these things should be avoided. If we once we get addicted to any kind of drug or alcohol, then that habit will go on continuously, and we will also require psychological help from professionals, mental health professionals, so that we can, become able to deal with these kind of problems. So these things should be avoided at all costs. Then we should also try to be physically active as well as mentally active, because you all know ki, uh, once we stop being active, once we stop keeping our brain active, our body active, then it leads to certain kinds of problems. So we should always try to keep ourselves busy. We should try to maintain our physical health, our mental health at all costs. Then even though this is a negative situation, a negative um thing is going on in the whole world, so at that time it is very much normal for us to feel grudgy, for us to feel anxious, stressed ki, why did this situation of COVID started, why do we have to face this confinement thing, why do we have to keep ourselves locked down in our home for months and months continuously. So these kind of things can create some kind of negative thoughts, stress in us. But we should try to look for things which we can be grateful for. Ki, even in this pandemic situation, I have not yet got infected by COVID. My family members are safe, they are healthy. We are getting food every day, we are having a roof over our heads. So we should look out for things which we can be grateful for, instead of focusing on the negatives. Okay. Then appreciate humanity. How can we appreciate humanity? In this current situation also, there are medical health professionals who uh, working day and night to save people from this infectious disease of COVID-19. And in fact, many doctors, they also got affected by COVID-19. They had to to sacrifice their life, or they died when they were in the process of treating other people. So we should always try to appreciate the efforts of these individuals. We should always try to appreciate humanity. We should always be thankful to God that that He has saved us from these kind of this kind of disease till now, and we are still hale and hearty. Then we should try to think about those people who have already lost their loved ones because of this disorder, because of this disease, and we should try to pray for them. Okay. And one more important point which I would like to focus upon is we should value our family. It is because of many kind of professional commitments or our educational commitments that we don't get the time to focus on our family. Every time we are busy, keep right now I'm having my exam, so I need to study, so I won't be able to talk to my parents or talk to my family members. Or parents, they are busy in their work life, they always want to provide a better life to their children, so they want to earn as much money as possible so that they are able to fulfill the needs of their children. So because of their work commitments, professional commitments, educational commitments, we are unable to spend as much time as we want to with our family members. So now, since we have got the time, so we should try to value our family. We should try to spend maximum amount of time with them. We should try to uh, uh, we should try to support them in their activities, or we should try to recreate their interest. Like suppose my parents are having some kind of an interest, then I can help them in those activities, I can talk to them about their life. So in this manner we should try to value our family. And one more important thing is to keep our thoughts positive always, because we all know ki a healthy mind leads to a healthy body. So if we are experiencing, or if we always remain engaged in negative thoughts, then it will start affecting our body also. So mm, it is quite possible ki uh, continuously thinking in a negative way may lead to a decrease in our physical health. So because of which we may get affected by this disease or any other kind of disease which may lead to further suffering. So we should always try to remain positive irrespective of the situation, and try to create a proper mind body balance. Okay. So these are the things which we have noticed because of the current pandemic situation, and uh, how we can mm, keep our mental health intact, how we can continuously think positive. These are the uh, things which we can do. So right now I have finished discussing all those things. I have finished discussing about the impact of COVID and how we can cope up with such a situation. So are there any queries from your side?
Yes, ma'am. We have so many queries from the participants in YouTube and Zoom comment boxes. Our
Okay.
moderators Anjali and Shika will tell you those comments.
Okay, okay.
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible to you?
Yeah, yeah, you are audible to me.
Okay, ma'am. Shall I start with the first question?
Yeah.
Okay. Amla's Absi has asked you how to avoid anxiety in children during lockdown period.
Okay. Okay. So children right now, they are not able to go to school. They have to continue their studies from home. And children have this tendency to uh, children have this tendency to get bored easily. So right now, since they cannot go to school, they cannot meet with their schoolmates, they cannot play with their playmates as frequently as was possible before COVID-19. So we should try to provide them stimulating environment as much as possible at home. Okay, we should try to keep themselves engaged in certain stimulatory activities. We should try to introduce them to new kind of games. We can try to keep them engaged in certain cognitive exercises, like we can engage them in certain games, like certain mind games are there, like Sudoku and all, or certain word games are there. So we should try to keep themselves engaged all the time in these kind of activities. And along with that, we should always try to provide them a stimulating environment at home as well, so that they don't feel bored. Hello?
Okay, ma'am, shall I continue with the next question?
Yeah.
Ma'am, how can we improve our mental health among the rural illiterate people during this pandemic?
Okay. Okay. Since one thing which is uh, very common, ki in the rural areas, there are not much facilities available, and people are not that educated, their literacy level is low. So if we think about them, then um, first of all we need to uh, improve the services which are available over there, because currently moving to one place from another is not that feasible. And because of this current COVID-19 situation, we, even if we move from one place to another, then there are chances of getting infected also. So because of this situation, first we should try to improve the facilities which are present over there. And after that we can try to work on, we can talk to the individuals as per their educational level, as per their socio cultural level, and we can make them understand ki, this is the situation which is going on. And uh, keeping their environment in mind, keeping the facilities which are present over there, currently we can try to recreate some interests in them, or we can try to keep them engaged in certain kind of activities. Like if people over there are um, having such kind of facilities, like they can be engaged in farming and also, we can make them participate in such activities. We can talk to them about how we can improve those things which are present over there. And then we can uh, improve the mental health of people staying in a rural area in this manner. Along with that, one more thing I would like to add, ki, in rural settings, generally we see ki people are not having many kind of recreational facilities. Okay, so they because of the lack of recreational facilities, people start using some substances, or they fall into the habit of using certain substances, which we also which we should try to encourage people to avoid those substance taking habits. Or even if a person has already started taking substance, then we should be able to make them aware ki these are the possible consequences of taking any particular substance, and you can suffer from these particular illnesses, if you start taking substance, or if you have been taking a particular substance for a long period of time. So any substance taking behavior should be prevented at all costs in the people who are residing in a rural area.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
the next question is, Demand can be stressful, but won't it make us productive?
It can make us productive, but keeping the current situation in mind, because there are certain restrictions, people cannot go outside, and even if they are creating certain things, then also they won't be able to promote their activities, or they won't be able to promote their products in that way as was possible before COVID-19. So we should always try to make people realize that this is the situation under which there are certain restrictions in which we have to function. So even if the demands are stressful, then also we should always try to make people accept the current situation and function accordingly. Hello.
Okay, ma'am, the next question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, have any new psychological phenomenon came to your notice which needs clinical attention?
Yeah, very much. Because I'm there in SGT Gurgaon, so we started a telecounseling service over there. So many people used to call us, and they tried to seek help from us regarding how to prevent getting affected from COVID-19, or suppose a person has already got affected by this illness, then how to take care of that family member, as well as reduce our exposure to that particular illness. Or a person is feeling depressed because of the current lockdown situation, he is unable to go outside, or he's feeling stressed because of the entire COVID situation. So depression, anxiety, stress, these kind of things were reported over there to a large extent. Hello, is there any other query?
Hello, ma'am. That was all the questions from YouTube. I think people at
Okay.
Zoom are still typing, I guess. We can wait for a minute.
Uh-huh. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Can I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
Dear participants, the link to fill the feedback form will be active shortly. It will be provided in the comment box of Zoom platform and in the YouTube comment box. Please wait for that. The e-certificate is only provided to those who fill the feedback form.
Hello, ma'am. There's another question come up.
Yeah, I can see that. What can we do to reduce stress and anxiety of old age people during this COVID-19 pandemic? So you are talking from the uh, mm, clinician's point of view or family members' point of view?
Yeah, madam, that was a question
If it
from
is
Sneha
from the
KK.
clinician's point of view, yeah.
Yeah, I think Sneha will be replying to the thing soon, but as of now, we don't have a reply from Sneha.
Okay, okay. If she was talking from a clinician's point of view, then first we need to understand key people who are above 60 or they belong to the old age category, then they have already many physical problems present along with them. And sometimes it is possible that some mental problems are also there, right? Like they may suffer from some memory problems or attention issues. So people who belong to that old age category, they already have many kind of problems. And along with that, if they are in this current pandemic situation, then we must first be able to understand what are the impairments which they are what are the impairments or what are the um, physical or mental problems which they are facing currently. And along with that, uh, this situation of COVID-19 has led to which kind of changes in their behavior, which kind of changes in their mental functioning. So after understanding these things, we should be able to support them in every manner. If they are suffering from some mental problem or some physical problem, then we should try to reduce the uh, problems which they are facing by providing them adequate environment. Suppose they are having memory problems and they are facing some specific kind of issues because of their memory problems, then we should try to provide them adequate environment so that their difficulty level comes down. And along with that, if they are having some stress and anxiety because of this current COVID situation, then we can provide them supportive psychotherapy. We should try to support them at all costs. We should try to uh, maintain a positive behavior towards them. We should try to provide them a positive kind of environment towards them. And we as we all know ki stress and anxiety always results from being free or being mentally unoccupied. So we should try to keep them engaged in such kind of activities in which they are interested. Generally we see ki old age people are much more interested in religious kind of activities. So we should try to conduct such kind of things, conduct such kind of religious activities in which they feel interested. Or we can create a group of old age people who belong to the same age group, and we can make them interact with each other, or we can try to keep them engaged in such kind of activities which interest them, like creating some activities which as per their age, as per their physical capacity, mental capacity won't prove to be difficult. And along with that, they'll also these activities will also help them to remain occupied with some kind of activity. So in this manner we can try to reduce the stress and anxiety of old age people during this COVID-19. The next question has also come up, like what kind of changes occur in the neurotransmitter firing in the brain of an individual during social isolation? Will this impact will be lifelong or short? So it depends. It depends. Suppose a person is having or he has to remain in social isolation, then different individuals have different patterns to deal with the same situation. Suppose two individuals are in this situation of social isolation, but one of them can start feeling depressed and one of them can completely maintain a healthy lifestyle. So it depends ki uh, the person who has started feeling depressed at that time, the neurotransmitter firing in that particular individual's brain will be completely different, and a person who is having anxiety, that person's neurotransmitter firing will be completely different. So it depends the person is facing which kind of problem, and whether and how is he able to deal with that particular situation, whether he is having the required capacity to deal with that situation or not. And this impact will be short term itself, because once the social isolation ends, the person will start functioning normally, he'll be able to interact with other people, his pre-COVID lifestyle will come back. So it will be short term. Any other questions? Hello.
Thank you, madam. I think we don't have much queries coming up, but still we'll wait for another one more minute, and over to Geo Kapan sir for continuing the session.
Okay.
Okay, it seems like we have no more questions yet. People are the feedback form link is provided and it will work soon. Then now I invite Anjali to express the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to the listeners present here. It is my absolute pleasure to present the vote of thanks on behalf of Little Flower Institute of Social Sciences and Health. Firstly, to Ma'am Dr. Tulika Ghosh, thanking you for taking your much valuable time to present us your knowledge on this very relevant topic, and how very easily and in simple steps we can do betterment for one theirself and the society around us. Thank you, ma'am. And most importantly, our LISSAH's very prominent and important fathers, founder and director of LISSAH, Reverend Father Jose Melo Tukochil, CST, Vice Principal, Reverend Father Niju Talachira, Reverend Father Jose Pantakil, Reverend Father Bobby Pullolikil, Faculty of BA Literature Subin Sir, special thanks to Melvin Sir, HOD of BSc Psychology Department, Dr. Emerson VP Sir, and lastly, for our very patient, diligence, students and other listeners of this very establishing relevant topic. And a very big thank you to Tulika ma'am once again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Kind attention of the participants, the link is right now active. You may kindly enter your credentials, and please do think about the spellings which you are typing, this because it is an automatically generated certificate, so the spelling errors which you make cannot be accepted. So thank you so much, and the link is right now active. And to the coordinators, you have done a very good job, and thank you so much for being part of the program. Thank you, Tulika ma'am, and all the participants who are with us. The link will stay active for another half an hour. Please do the needful. And the YouTube live for the session is going to end now.
Okay.